If you watch a lot of Grand Peace Online YouTube content, or if you've been in an AGZ stream, there is a high chance you've seen one or more of Phoeyu's custom specs in Grand Peace Online. Phoeyu mainly uses these to bully AGZ in his streams, but he has been shown outside of this to use them to troll other YouTubers as well, like say G4. There are a lot of Phoeyu specs that I could talk about, but I don't want to go into all of them today because there's so many. So in today's video, I'll just be talking about 5 of Phoeyu's custom specs. Alright, so the first spec I want to talk about is the Phoeyu Titan. This spec is probably the most well-known Phoeyu spec, since he has used it many times and it has been featured in a lot of YouTube videos. The Phoeyu Titan basically involves Phoeyu transforming into a huge titan from the popular anime Attack on Titan. Usually a shockwave is sent out, which is an insane amount of damage to everyone in the surrounding area, and I've never seen someone genuinely tank this shockwave, and I don't even know if you could realistically tech eye all the damage. I think it's just too high damage and it completely wipes everyone. I like the spec because, like a lot of Phoeyu specs, it directly takes inspiration from another anime outside of One Piece. It is really interesting to see these different things appear in a One Piece game. The contrast is really nice and super obvious, and it kind of gives you this really weird feel of like, this is what it would be like if Attack on Titan was in GPO, or if Naruto was in GPO, all these different animes that aren't One Piece, that you kind of get a bit of an insight into what they would look like in Grand Peace Online. Now, the next spec I want to talk about is the Phoeyu nuke. This is probably one of my favorite of all-time specs, if not my number one, since I think it's really cool. The Phoeyu nuke is pretty easy to understand. It's a nuke. Phoeyu fires it from a regular cannon, but it has the destructive power to send a shockwave throughout the entire island, knocking everyone on it. I think this could be considered GPO's equivalent of a buster call, since the damage and destruction are equivalent to that kind of thing. And it also reminds me a lot of the buggy ball from One Piece really early on the series, where Buggy fires that like cannon which has the buggy ball in it and it just wipes an entire town. That kind of thing would be really cool to see in GPO. The next spec on my list is a spec which I'm going to name the Phoeyu Smite, and this is my own custom name. I'm calling it this because it's basically what it is. This is when Phoeyu summons a storm cloud which strikes lightning multiple times beneath where the storm cloud is. Now, this was shown all the way back in update 1, so perhaps it was even an early version of the storm clouds we see in the rough seas, or another idea is it could be related to a climate attack weapon or concept, or maybe even it's like a unreleased, well, Goro did exist. Now this is where it gets weird. The Goro fruit, so the lightning fruit, did exist back then in the game. However, this isn't a Goro move. This is completely separate from this. This looks a lot more similar to the, as I mentioned, the storm clouds in the rough seas. So I'm pretty sure it's that, but it also could be an unreleased climate attack weapon. I honestly have no idea. The Phoeyu Smite should definitely not be underestimated though, since the damage is high and all Phoeyu would have to do is stand inside its range, and even a max level player would have a hard time getting close to him because the lightning has such high knockback. It's really hard to get close to the person using it. Now the next spec that I'm talking about is the Phoeyu Jet. Now this spec was shown fairly recently, and it's one of those things where you have to see it to believe it. Phoeyu spawns in a jet. Yes, you heard me correctly, a jet. He then pilots the jet around as many people ride on it. Like there's no official seats, but you see like Ags and all his like subscribers clinging onto it for like dear life, trying desperately not to fall off. The jet itself isn't too interesting to me, but what it represents is. The jet is obviously a flying machine. Now, there are no official flying machines currently in the game. It would however be cool to see a flying machine like the Arc Maxim in the game. And the final spec I want to talk about is the Nine Tails Phoeyu spec. Now, this spec was showcased really recently on an AGZ stream, and we actually don't see it do very much apart from just allow Phoeyu to transform into a Nine-Tails Fox from Naruto. Now, personally, I think if we see it again, Phoeyu will add some sort of powers to it. A lot of the things Phoeyu showcases remind me of little projects a dev might do in their spare time. Like, if these are all made by Phoeyu, which they honestly could be, it might just be like, this is what Phoeyu does. So like before he made GPO, this is what he's making in the spare time. Maybe as part of like a portfolio to get future jobs in the Roblox, I guess, industry. It's kind of a really weird word to use, but something like that could be a possibility. And my personal theory is these are all specs made outside of Grand Peace Online by Phoeyu for fun, and now we're going to see them in the game. However, I do think there are some exceptions to this, like the Phoeyu Smite and the nuke. I'm pretty sure they're early forms of features that Phoeyu actually plans to add to the game eventually. Okay, that's all I really wanted to mention in today's video. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and as always, I try to keep my videos an open discussion, so feel free to share your thoughts in the comment section below. With that out of the way, I hope you're having a great day, evening, whatever time it is for you, and I'll see you in tomorrow's video. Bye guys.